Hi there, and welcome back to Grammar with Kelsey. Today we're looking at the second conditional. This is one step up from our first conditional, which you might remember from a previous lesson. So let's take a look. Here we have two sentences. One of them is first conditional, one of them is second conditional. So if he works hard, he will get a raise, right? If he works hard, he will get a raise. Versus, if we flapped our arms fast enough, we could fly. If we flapped our arms fast enough, we could fly. So there are a couple of differences between these two grammar types. The first, here is our first conditional. Conditional if plus the present tense for our conditional statement, and then will in our result. So if works, will get. Okay. Here, however, we do still have if, but instead of present tense, we have past, flapped. Our arms fast enough, and down here we have the modal could instead of the future. Right? So past tense plus the modal plus the base form of the verb, fly. Let's take a closer look. So we use first conditional to talk about real things, real conditions, possible solutions in the future. If plus the present tense plus the future will. If I save enough money, I will buy a car. Right? I can do this. This could happen. Second conditional, however, we use this one for unlikely, impossible, or imaginary situations. So it's if plus the simple past for our conditional statement, and then would, could, might, or modals, plus a base verb. Okay, so if I found $30,000, this could happen, but it's very unlikely, right? No one is going to drop $30,000 on the street. Right? So if I found $30,000, I would buy a car. Right? And unlikely, if plus past, then modal, would, plus base form, buy. Okay. See some examples. Unlikely. If I had enough money, I would buy a car. Impossible. It's not likely I will have enough money soon. Impossible. If I was a famous K-pop artist, I could travel all over the world. This is never going to happen. I am not good at dancing. Or imaginary. If I owned a unicorn, I could ride it to the moon. Right? Unicorns are not real. I could not ride it to the moon. It's not possible. Right? So you can put your conditional statement first. Right? If I had enough money, I might buy a car. If I were a famous K-pop artist, I could travel all over the world. If I owned a unicorn, I would ride it to the moon. Right? If your if is first, you need a comma. Right? If the conditional statement is first, you need that comma because it's a dependent clause. All right. You can also have your main clause first. I might buy a car if I had enough money. Right. Okay. I could travel all over the world if I were a famous K-pop artist. I would ride a unicorn to the moon if I owned a unicorn. Okay. If this comes first, you don't need a comma. Right? If your main clause comes first, no comma. If your conditional clause comes first, comma. This is a pretty simple grammar form. The only issue is you have to be careful with your would, coulds, and mights. Would, definitely, 100%. Could is more like 60 to 75%, probably. It also says I am able to, right? If I have enough money, I could buy a car, right? With that money enables me to buy that car. Okay? Without that money, I am not able to buy that car. So it's both 60 to 75%, but it's also ability. The last one is might. This is more like 25%, maybe. Let's see some example sentences. Paula would be sad if John left. Right? If this happens, conditional, Paula would be sad. Right? It's not likely to happen. John and Paula are very happy together. Right? But she 100% would be sad if he did. If I had $2 million, I would pay off all of my student loans, right? If I had $2 million, right? Very unlikely. I don't know where I'm going to get $2 million unless I decide to rob a bank, and then I would not get away with it. But if I did, I would pay off all of my student loans, 100%. Okay. He would travel more if he had more time, right? So if he had more time, but he doesn't, right? He is too busy, he's working, he has a family, he would travel more, right? If your if comes first, you need that comma. Here, second, no comma. Right? If I were you, I would try to study more. So if I were, I would try. Okay. I'm not you. I cannot be you. Right? This is impossible or imaginary. But if I were, I would, here's our modal, try. Okay, that's it for this one. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. If you have any questions, problems, concerns, feel free to ask. Have a great day.